Got a pocket full of kryptonite. Got a kryptonite. All right. Sweetness. What's going on, everybody? Good to see you. How are you? It's been a week, right? Some of us had a holiday on a Thursday. Some of us did not. Got spin doctors in my head for some reason. I don't know why. Probably haven't listened to this song in like years. Harrigan's driving, so we'll be in listen mode. I hate props, that is all. Says the guy who plays like quite a bit electronically, I will say. And that's all right, buddy. I also map crinkly burn maps. There you go. As he's driving. What is going on here? Trumpet gifted a sub. Thanks, Trumpet. Much appreciated. Agile Monk, congratulations. You've got a membership whether you wanted it or not. Anyways, how's everybody doing? I saw Ryan open the doors again. Thanks, Ryan. Really appreciate it. Matt, maps. We don't need no sticking maps. Hoos, morning. Hey, morning. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. What's up, Marine? Joe Swick, good to see you. Happy birthday. Joe's birthday was earlier this week. Jake, morning. Matt, morning. Gabe, morning. It's going to be a hot one, Gabe, in the Midwest here, right? You guys getting heat wave. Then I had Martha and the Vandellas in my head this morning before the spin doctors hit it. I don't know what's going on. Inside the mind of Sean. Whenever you're with me, woo, something inside. Aaron, good to see ya. Michael, good to see ya. Joe. Blake and Joe testing my audio. Thanks, Blake. Grumpy Corn Games, good morning. Do electronic props count as props? I guess. We'll let it slide because a lot of it's done virtually. Like our hobbies changed a little bit. So I don't think I want to say no necessarily. Jake says props enhance all types of role play. Wink, wink. Oh God. Guy's out of control. Out of control. Make maps, not driving yet, starting now. Okay. Now, the goal is to drive Harrigan completely nuts where it causes him to have to pull over to respawn. Not crash. Pull over. He will inevitably like, okay, where's the next parking lot? I'm going to pull in here and type on my keyboard. Is it two princes in your head? Probably. I'm doing all right. Thanks, Matt. Yes, insomnia indeed. Cognizant. Good to see you. Nubis, good to see you. Kristen, good to see you. Happy free RPG day. Remember when Dragon Magazine had character portraits? Those were neat. Flint, morning. Good crowd today. Loving it. I'm loving it. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm doing all kinds of copyrighted material. That's what you came for, I imagine. If you're counting electronic props, I love props. I will lean more on the electronic prop people because I don't know what you guys would consider electronic props. Like, maps, sure. But, and there's some people like props, man, they're just a waste of time. So let's start with, let's get into it, right? Let's start with Phil. Hey, good to see you, Phil. I'd love to build a Dwarven Forge dungeon for a D&D game, but the cost is very prohibitive, for sure. Andy, good to see you. Morning. Shambot, people still trickling in. Good to see you. We'll get into. Let's start things rolling. So, before we get into what are props? No, I'm just kidding. I don't think we have to define it. Well, we do have to say they're not kudos. Like, hey, props to you, man. No, it's not that kind of props. Hey, I gave him props. No, kudos. Thumbs up. No. But as many of us, where's my forever GMs? Because this is going to be, this question won't be pertaining to them. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, forever GMs, but you got to be a player every once in a while. And for those of us that have been players, which I would hope is a majority, have you received a kick-ass prop for an RPG game you were in as a player? So you didn't construct it, you didn't come up with the idea, but you received one as a player, and what was it? What was the coolest prop, in your opinion? Could be anything. And if it wasn't cool, just maybe it was one that was given to you. And I will say this. If it's a map, it's got to be a special map, not just any map. It's got to be because here's the thing I don't want to get props confused with typical handouts. Can handouts be props? Sure. Yes. I think most people would say yes. But it's very easy to just print it off and go here. And I think props takes a little bit more. It could be where the game master has a map, they print it, and then they do the tea thing and age it and hold it over a candle so it can get all smoky and burn the edges and stuff. It's got a little effort behind it other than just printing it off. Because, let's face it, because it is printed doesn't make it necessarily a prop. A prop doesn't make it, right? Aaron says, speaking of free RPGs, I finally posted mine in the Discord. Check it out, folks, on the Discord if you want to get that. If anyone has time to look at it and give me some feedback. Look at that. Ryan says, I used to build a display prior to encounter/scenes in a game. Miniatures, etc. Theater of the mind is where I am now. You sometimes utilize a dry erase to show the layout of a room or area. Yeah. Digital, physical, or both? Right. Yes. Map, damp, teabag, dragged over to make it brown, burnt ends. Yeah. Old keys or puzzle boxes are neat props. Indeed. Best prop. Here we go. Best prop I ever used was a puzzle box. Who's a passport for Mass of Nyarlathotep with my PC's info and photo. So a game master did that for you and gave it to you? That's pretty fantastic, I gotta say. That'd be cool. And so Sean, why'd you bring up props this week? I'm starting to do a Delta Green game for the Jeff group. Jeff's my long-term buddy, Joe, a couple others. Jeff is he is climbing the walls right now. I got him so excited. I don't even have to. Once he's in, he's all in. The excitement builds, the anticipation over time, and I gotta get it to the table before that fades. But one of the things I'd mentioned was badges, and then I think he misinterpreted what I meant by badge, because he's gonna be. I don't know if any of the rest of their group's gonna watch this video. I doubt it. Because I don't want them to know. I don't want each player character to know the other player, what the other player characters are in Delta Green. But I was thinking hey Jeff, I'm fully, because Jeff usually does character sheet, sketch, booklet. I would not put it by him that he would do a full blown dossier on his own character. We'll see. But I said, I fully expect you to show up at the table with a badge. And he's like, but CIA is not law enforcement. And I think he was talking, CIA, let us in, we get a search warrant. Not that kind of badge. I'm talking badge to get into buildings, your identification badge, right? So it says CIA on it, and the character's picture and then the name. So I said, well, how do they get into the building in Langley? And he's like, biometrics? So I think he's thinking two different things. CIA's they have to have an ID badge, I imagine, when they go to Langley. So anyways, I was thinking it would be cool, to Hoose's point, in what he's had. This cat, Rudy, get out of here. What's a stream without a cat? A was thinking about doing badges, but I don't know how kooky it'll be. Plus, I got to have character sketches to do it, right? Or I could do a template, say, but it would also be beneficial to like get the organization that they're going to be playing for, so I could do that. So anyways, that's what, and I'm like, props. And so this is the first game that I'm running. I think this is the first game I'm running face-to-face that's outside of a convention game since pre-pandemic. That seems odd. That seems crazy. But I think it is. I think it was Curse of Strahd was the last in-person game, and then the pandemic came, and then it got nuked. Dude, it's been a while. That's 6 years? That's nuts. So everything else has been virtual. Flint says, I recently played Vaesen, and the DM gave our team of investigators the actual Vaesen book that the RPG was based on, filled with myth. When I did the Vaesen video for this channel, compliments of the game group that I play with, and Harrigan, Phil's in the chat, Kevin and Wayne Peacock. I think Wayne's at a gaming convention this week. Wayne did specifically about getting his players to buy into Vaesen. He handed them the artwork book, I believe. And they were like sold. So I could see that. Cognizant, I once received an actual gem as a periapt of proof against poison. Nice. Sean, game you described where the character sheets were like the back of an old G.I. Joe action figure. That sounds like a cool and subtle prop. Dude, I don't know if I brought that one up, but Carl Kiesler, I've brought up Carl before on the stream. If you go to a convention and he is running games, I would strongly suggest that you play in one of his games. It's good. Just for the experience. He goes out of his way. He's a huge graphic designer, or a professional graphic designer. I have seen him do, I think he might have created, I think he did 8 tracks. So 8-track cartridges with custom labels on them, and those custom labels are character sheets. I think he might have done cassette tapes as well with the insert and made it a character sheet. I've seen him do bubble packs where it's the cardboard, right, and the plastic's been ripped off, and you have right behind what would be the figure, the little picture of who the character would be for Goonies meets Ghostbusters, and you flip the cardstock over and it's got all the stats. And he's a big Savage Worlds person. So if Savage Worlds isn't your jam, I get it, but still. So he's done some amazing work, like to the point where you could see it on a shelf in a toy store. Quality stuff. Shambot says, I appreciate a good letter with hidden clues within the text or on the letter itself. In one of my earliest games as a GM for Vampire, I made an actual ransom note with real blood when I cut myself. Okay, Shambot, let's take some time here for just a second, okay? This public service announcement, we do not here at RPG Sean condone self-harm for whatever reason, especially to make props, okay? Just want to say that. That's the disclaimer now. Back to our regularly scheduled stream. Oh, when I cut himself on accident. Wait a minute. So, like, it was just serendipity? Like, oh, ow. Wait a minute. One of my GMs was a woodworker and made wooden cryptex. It was so cool. I think his wife kept it. Very cool. Ruin Slinger, good to see you. Good morning? Good evening? Let's see, evening in the UK, morning in the Korea probably. My favorite props are usually audio. One of my favorites was a series of radio commercials and late night DJ spots for a group of mages in a World of Darkness chronicle. Over time, they learned to listen to them. Sweet. Just sweet. Got a bunch of sounds from Sirenscape. Is that props? I mean, maybe, kind of, sort of. Sure. Maybe. Kinda. Matt says, ironically, for Delta Green Week, players receive a full mission identity bag, complete with FBI ID and badge with characters' pictures on it, airsoft pistols for each character's choice of weapon, and disguise kit. Dude, top notch. Top notch. I mean, I will say this about props. If a game master does it, here's the thing. I'm going to give you a warning. A warning. Not a warning. That's not right. I'm going to provide some advice to those of you that may get props from a game master. If you ever do, don't pick it up and go, ew, what's this? Oh, this is dumb. Wow, what is this? You want us to use this? Right? First, take a deep breath. Reel in nerddom. The nerd twitch. And just take in the fact of the effort that they put into it. And even if it's like, so for example, I have the massive Nyarlathotep HP Lovecraft Society. There goes my camera again. HP Lovecraft Society kit. It's a box. And it has all the clues that you would find in that campaign. And they are not labeled, right? They're not like clue number 1. So you better have your stuff organized. So it's literally matchboxes, a matchbox, letters, what else? I think there's like a little wound up scroll. There's so much stuff. So anything you find in that huge campaign, it is in there. Newspaper clippings made out of actual newspaper print, like material, paper. It's super awesome. If you run mask face to face, dudes, it's just phenomenal. Okay. They also did a wallet recently. I think it was covered in the EN World or something for the awards for something. But so that the person may not have made all that stuff, but they bought it or they thought of it. And they, to the Delta Green that Matt was talking about, somebody was like, I'm serious about this game. I'm going to put this thing together. They're going to love it. And though the players may not, or one player may not appreciate that, just keep in mind. Just be sensitive to that, okay? All right. You're welcome. The last thing you want to do is like, what's this? You want us to do this? This is dumb. If I were a game master, I would go apeshit on that response. Michael says DM handed us Cryptex found clues throughout the campaign. No brute force allowed. Earned some info and boon that helped us against the BBEG. DM really made us work for it. Was awesome. Ted morning. Don't allow the lizard man in the game this time, Sean. Yeah. No. That was the demise of my Curse of Strahd. No, it wasn't. It wasn't the demise, but it was like starting off on the wrong foot. If you guys know. This is what friends are for. Making sure they look out for you and say, hey, remember, don't have a lizard man join your Delta Green game. Because we know what happened last time. Don't forget to tell you like button, Flint Fire Forge, 10 extra 10 extra experience points for you for putting it out there. Thanks. I much appreciate it. Mike says there are many online badge templates and designers that you could use. Well, good point. I mean, nothing says easier to do than now. Like, can you imagine like props in the 80s? I mean, what a pain in the ass, right? Props in the 80s were like a typewritten note, maybe handwritten, map. But other than that, talk about some effort. William, morning. Delta Green also has digital asset packs you can use. I do have those. In addition to, they have an entire Discord for crafting for Delta Green, by the way. So if you're a Delta Green fan and you run Delta Green games and you're interested in that, hit me up on the Discord. I'll invite you to that group. Yep, Kung Fury 2 used the action figure card backs. Nice. Kevin, there's Kevin. One of our players. Good to see you, buddy. Popping in before he rushes off to soccer or wrestling or dance or whatever he's got going on. That's what it was. The Goonies versus Ghostbusters crossover. Sounds fantastic. Yeah, indeed. I did Sega Master System cartridge cases with custom character sheets as the covers for an 80s game. That is awesome. Props to you. Eileen, good to see you. After 10 p.m. in Korea. Yeah, in the evening. There you go. Almost the future. In the future, of course, but almost the next day. I also did pizza boxes as character sheets for a TMNT game. All right. Now you're just rubbing it in, Matt. That's awesome. I'll play in Matt's game. Mike says, I made a large number 1 pendant for Paranoia. Have not used it yet, but when people saw it, they wanted to wear it, so that is a good sign. I would say so. Trumpets, yeah, okay. An hour forward of Korea. Excellent. Now I gotta get my wall clocks, right? Like the 5 wall clocks across the world. Michael says, in the late 90s, a Riffs game master created a radio broadcast from a team in trouble. Needed to learn from the signal where to go next in the campaign. Grumpy says, when I run my game Crime Drama at the next con, I've gotten custom plastic police badges made. Yes. I do props because I think they will add to the game somehow and I enjoy making them. Props are definitely not for some people. They will it's too much. It's too time consuming. I don't think the players are going to appreciate it. Theater of the mind. I get it. Make sure you triple down for props when running God's Teeth. Oh boy. Nubis, Phandelver was the first RPG I GM'd. Wrote up a short personal letter for each pre-gen. Put them in envelopes. Wrote the backgrounds on them. Players picked their PCs by choosing an envelope. I want to do also a night at the opera tickets and send them to my players. But as soon as I get their addresses, they're going to be like, wait a minute. I should have done this 6 months ago. I got their address, did nothing with it. I could probably figure out what their address is, because I think I know where most of them live. Consider buying some Temu wigs for a game where the players are himbos. Figured it would get people more into the game if they looked ridiculous. I once made a cassette tape clue for a Tales from the Loop game. The players would have searched through a missing kid's room and actually played the tape on a Walkman I have. I never got a chance to. That would be a mixtape. In the middle of a mixtape somewhere, right? Can you imagine a 30-minute mixtape and they're scrolling through, going through, trying to find anything? Dad says, I'll be starting tomorrow's Mothership game by giving players a death indemnity policy from Emily Weiss's excellent breach of contract supplement. Sets tone and player relationship with their employer. That is fantastic. I don't think it takes much, right? It doesn't have to be like the H.P. Lovecraft box set, right? And dump it on a table. Just that one thing. I think that's And I betcha if you did one for a game, they'd have it out there all the time, right? Done weathered maps, cut up battle maps for Fog War, diaries, simple physical puzzles, in-game websites, mood boards, job boards, onboarding videos. I love making props. Nubis did do one on Delta Green. I know how much time and effort that would have taken. That's a good job. So Blake says, for online games, I often share screenshots for NPCs, location and monsters. NPCs are often sepia. Photographs. Delta Green is big for cork boards or whatever they're called. The big, pictures, document, tie the yarn, which is something I also considered for Delta Green. But I don't have a color printer, so I might have to invest in a color printer. Print them out, put them out there. bring a cork board. Oh, you guys want to use this? Yeah. Sean, what is the best prop you've ever seen? Glad you asked. Besides the H.P. Lovecraft set, it is just over the top. It is insane. It's great. I would say it's definitely professional, right? It costs money, not cheap either. I think with a Noble Knight discount, I think it cost me close to $100. I think it comes to 130 or something retail. So it is not for the faint of heart. But I got to say, the one that I was most impressed with that I had ever received as a player was a friend of mine, Mark, who ran a home campaign. I think this was 3 days. He created a book, and it was a book that he handmade. So I think, did he do three? It was a weird 3-hole punch. I don't think it was saddle stitched. But with the cover, and it was big, it was thick, and it was really crazy parchment paper. It wasn't hey, I'm gonna go get a ream of paper at the local Office Depot, put it through a printer, and then I'll fray the sides. It was the really weird, thick, literal parchment. It was kind of crazy. So it didn't close all the way, and it had everything in it was hand done. It had to have taken him crazy amount of time to put this thing together. And if it didn't, well, it didn't come off that way. It was very crazy. And so it was a world journal that we could page through as we kind of ventured through his world. So we didn't have a lore dump from him, right? And it was his homebrew world campaign setting. And he had kind of custom races and things of that nature. So as we were adventuring through this world, we didn't know what we were getting into or what we would encounter or what the types of people we would meet. And it was all in this journal. We just had to find it through. It was basically having some, Gandalf, old wizard that had documented all this and put it in a journal, and we came across it. And so somebody that had been, alive hundreds of years, and, it's kind of it's the internet of the Dark Ages, if you will, which was pretty fantastic, I would say. Otherwise, Carl Kiesler at the convention, my first convention game with him, playing Goonies versus Ghostbusters was a big one. Those are the ones that I think I remember distinctly. What else? Those are the big ones, I think. There's been some other ones that have probably enhanced the game. If I've gone to a convention, there might be certain things the Gatsby and the Great Race. If you've never played that, it's a multi-table event, and they put each character and the portrait they laminated them, and then they kind of curved them around so they could stand up as a cone on the table so everybody could see it. And then there was an audio track that was done, 1920s, circa 1920s racehorse that also took place. But I think those are kind of just part of table tents. So I would say some of those. Bennies and Savage Worlds sometimes can come in as props. I've done that for Weird Wars. I've had shell casings for bennies. And then I've had, it's kind of getting into, is it a prop? Not necessarily. So many people, when they play Savage Worlds, they have a theme of the game. So if I'm playing Weird Wars, I had a military issued 52 card deck of playing cards. Actually, I think it had a nomenclature back in the day. So I would use those just to kind of touch some flavor on it. I don't know if those would be props necessarily, but, everyone just stopping in to tell you I'm missing out on a fun Origins. Thanks, Victor. Victor's at Origins. Have fun, Victor. Thanks for stopping in, man, before you get there. And if music counts, it's one of my cornerstones for immersion. Yeah. What about something like a video news report that had plot hooks or summarized the aftermath of a story arc? I'm glad you brought that up. I did one for the Delta Green Impossible Landscapes for the group. I don't know if Harrigan remembers. He's driving. He won't comment. But I don't remember. He's the only one in the chat, I think, that was part of that game. Phil was briefly. But Phil, you did see the end of that, the first chapter. So Phil might have saw that. So essentially, there's a chapter 1 of that campaign. And at the end of the chapter, I recorded a news audio. I think I might have put it up on YouTube and then with the graphic and the thumbnail. But it was just audio. Basically covering what the agents did from a news perspective, right? When I use a number of stations in a horror game, just run it at low volume in the background. Ryan West, Green Oaks, Sean, you could bring so many great props for Green Oaks. Glasses with chains, bottle glasses. Yeah, I think I need to do that. I want to run, it's right here. Sitting on my desk. The one RPG that's right here. Everything else is on the shelf. Green Oaks. Running this at GameholeCon off grid, probably. I'm hoping the people the group is interested in playing this because I think it would be hilarious with some of these folks. But yes, I should get some props. You know, glasses with the beads on it. Probably a bottle of Viagra. What happens at Green Oaks stays at Green Oaks. Yeah. Just after Halloween, when things were on sale, we all decided to get a hat that best reflects our character in a Call of Cthulhu game. It was a lot of fun and reinforced in character roleplay. Yeah. Come to think of it, a number of stations would be handy in a Twilight 2000 game too. Did anyone play this and it is a prop game in your opinion? Now I want a supernatural investigation game called Cork Board. Runeslinger. The late night DJ was a part of the background music and ambient sound I played very low. Over time, the group realized he was commenting on things happening in the city before or while they happen. Oh, dude, that's awesome. Listen closely. I appreciate the MCG makes prop kits for many of their games. Not only are they great, but they're also inspiring for making your own. Yeah. Had a group going through a crystalline cavern. I drew the map and used rock candy for the walls and crystal creatures that players could eat when they killed one. Nice. Gotta bounce. See you, Ryan. Thanks for being here, man. Yeah, I just don't want to go too hog wild. Because, right, Delta Green, get badges, then it's this, then it's that. And there's so much. Like, for every scenario, you could always have something. I find that one appealing. Fantasy, I mean, you could do coins, right? People have done coins. What else? Miniatures, maybe, right? Some people have mentioned terrain and doing the dungeon tiles. I think handouts or crafty handouts, like here's a letter and it looks authentic and, you know, it's not just done on a printer necessarily. What other ideas for props? Potions. I think seen that, like people put little things in test tubes or, you know, little containers. They may have actually bought them at like a candy store or something where it had a liquid in it. They just changed out the liquid. I don't know if handouts count, but I'd highly recommend checking out Viral for Call of Cthulhu because the handouts are amazing. One of the characters is watching a streaming chat and it adds to the game. Shout out to Bud and his counterpart for putting that out. I use the Old Gods Appalachia script coins for XP when I run that. It gives a nice tactile aspect to the game that's even con-friendly. Yeah. even if it's like con games are always nice to have a little thing. Like if you do pre-gens especially, you can always just add a little token of something to that pre-gen, right? So if you're running like Tales from the Loop, each kid has like a signature thing. So one might have a hat, one might have a cassette tape, just something that you just come across and just put on the table. That makes them kind of sink into that character a little bit more, maybe. Enhance the character. Who is it, right? The viral handouts are very good. Seconded by Ruinslinger. We play D&D with fancy dungeon tiles with tea lights for the torches, playing in a dark room. There you go. What else have I seen as cool props? Some of these are pretty standard. I'm trying to think of something really kooky crazy. I've read about one for Delta Green. I don't really want to give it away, but it is pretty crazy. So the folks that played in my, what is it, the scenario? Damn it. Dead Drop game will know about the dog. That was a prop in somebody else's. So yeah, I will just leave it at that. If you want props, you should see LARPs. Oh, good point. I'm sure they're all in on that stuff, right? Huge production. What's some ideas? Like, so if somebody's going to run a particular game, right? What would be an interesting prop to have at a table that would just enhance things? Anything specific? I think I saw that Dead Drop. I don't think I'd pull that in real life. Yeah. I would I would love to, because I think heads would explode. Crime scene photos. That's good. The internet's full of them, right? This guy's coming for you. Whoa, what have you been into? What was Something Awful? Something Awful still around? I thought somethingawful.com used to have some pretty crazy images on there. I have a pen where the ink disappears with heat, and I want to use that to make a letter that the PC need to hold to a candle to strip away and reveal a true message. Yeah, that's a good one. But here's the thing with sometimes when we do these, like to Joe's kind of crafty idea, great, but then as soon as you put it on the table, everybody's like, oh, there's something here I got to look at, I got to deal with, right? It's got to be unveiled in the moment, you know. There is an altar. There is a wooden box on the altar. And then, I go up there. I look at the wooden box. Okay. I grab the wooden box. Okay. Here you go. Bonk. Here it is. That's what you have in your hand. Whoa. Because you can't unveil it too early, right? Then it's going to be like, what's that? Digital props, let's talk about those too. What about something like an interactive landing page? Imagine a spaceship cockpit where you can pull up crew dossiers, a sector map, etc. Yeah, I was going to try to do, back in the day, a website for espionage or something like that where it would be a login and they could access different things. Like this was prior to like the way things are now. But putting all the clues in folders and things like that, and they could kind of log in and have a green screen prompt, if you will. I never got it to work. Props are good for con games to make it memorable. For a campaign, it would eat up a lot of GM prep time and burn you out. Yeah, that's good advice, Matt. For Delta Green, I would like go in on props. And I wouldn't read the adventure. So I'd go in, it'd be like, cool prop, adventure sucks. So we have to be careful about that. Thanks, Matt, for the heads up. I dead dropped a note to a player during a game. I wanted to get some information to the player without others knowing I was doing it. Nice. Counter that with putting some generic things on the table to handle. Potion for a healing potion. Yeah, exactly. That's not a bad idea too. Just like some stuff, right? That just kind of sits out there. Like, what's all that? Just nothing. It's just decor, right? It's just stuff to get you, set the tone, provide a vibe, if you will. And then you just pick one out. Whoop. Here you go. They make toys for kids to pretend doing things like archaeology digs, brewing magic potions, autopsies on the cryptids. They usually end with some toy or cheap candy, but I always wanted to use one. Yeah. This is all good stuff. Props. Props to all of you for coming up with some of this cool stuff or countering with some cool stuff. And it's like, if you're in RPG mode a lot, and you go to like the dollar store or garage sales, and you're like, I want to make a game that has that in it. I went to a thrift store, and there was a huge footlocker. It's not even a footlocker. What are they called? Like a huge chest. What are they? It's not called. Shoot. There's a name for it. Can't remember. But it's big. I mean, this thing you could put a person in it, right? If you had to. Trunk. Yeah. But there's a different method. Like, is it a British word for trunk? Another word for trunk or footlocker. Chest, can't remember what it is. Chest box, strong box, no. Crate, no. Shoot, I don't know. Steam trunk, I think, maybe? Maybe that's what it is, Steam trunk. I've dressed up old network cards as data chips for Star Wars games. Oh, that's cool. Right, get an old, like, sim stick. We used to have them for keychains, right? Old memory sticks that are, Sims, those are old, like this big. Immigrant chest. Yeah, I guess it is. It could be. Steam trunk is what I was probably looking at. Yeah. Just go like I game at friend's house. I don't usually have gamers over here, but can you imagine like bringing that thing in and plopping it down? Wheeling it in, and then the players are like, "Oh, what's that? Don't you want to know?" And then there's a real body in it. Or get a mannequin, stick it in there. Yeah, Delta Greed, man, it can get dark pretty quick. That's all I gotta say. Star Wars, though, like, what do we? So if somebody's wanting to run a game, and they wanted to do props, what would be some of those things? Is anybody running a game where they're struggling and it would be cool to do, but they don't know what they would come up with? That doesn't require a butt ton of time. Like to, say Gabe was going to do D6 WEG. I like what Shambot said was like the old, go to a computer store and say, hey, you got any old circuit boards, like the small cards, like PCI cards or whatever that are lying around that you're never going to use and you're just going to throw away, and I know you're hoarding it for no apparent reason. Can I have some of those? You break them, cut them in half. Here's your data chip. If I won the lottery, I'd build a room that would be like a medieval tavern or something. That's another thing. Props, like decor, maybe? Like the game room. Putting stones like on the wall. A cloak and a wizard's hat is classic prop, right? Spell book. Yeah. Cloak and a wizard's hat. Classic prop. Yeah, now I just want to go out and buy a bunch of stuff. The problem is it takes up space. You got all kinds of... What's all this crap down here? Yeah, it's for RPGs. It's like the Halloween store without the crappy plastic costumes. I bet you Hollywood's full of those stores. Does anybody live out in LA that has seen these things? I bet you they're just like, I don't know if they have stores out there that people could just go like rent all this stuff. A costume store, like are they like tapped into Hollywood's costume? I imagine they're probably not. I'm guessing that Hollywood each studio has their own inventory of stuff. What did you scenario are you planning on running, Sean? I'm thinking Convergys. Maybe to start with. Last Things Last is okay. I don't know if I'll go there first, though. Not props per se, but I'm bringing the opening crawl and a script for Star Wars. Yes. Yes. I think with Star Wars, you got to have the audio. Not that you would have to game necessarily, but I think the opening crawl audio, as you convey, also very good for digital. Like digital's tough because you're working with, pretty limited, it's got to be digital. So how do you digitize some of that stuff? And, we all know what the standard digital stuff is, audio, documents, stuff, pictures, images, still all good, right? Like backdrops for our VTT with some of those details. Anyone have ideas for a 40K one-shot using EZD6? So 40K, right? Are we talking Space Marines, Imperial Guard? I don't know the world that well. I only know the miniatures factions. But I don't know. Oof. That would be a good one. There's a storytelling game called Noirlandia, where you build a conspiracy for a crime with a corkboard and red string. I always thought it would be good to get old photographs to add to it. Yeah. Aaron says, make the players do first aid on each other with bandages and fake blood for heal checks. At what point along the prop spectrum does it become LARPing? Well, that's a good point too, right? Then they start kind of getting in, well, I don't know about this. Can you imagine? I would take a medical bandage, which I've had training in, right? We get trained on applying first aid on our comrades. And you'd actually do it, right? Pull out their bandage, hold it, apply pressure, wrap it this way, wrap it that way, tie it off, put a T on their head. Noted. Weg also recommends props. I'll see if I can innovate anything. Don't get too crazy. All right. If you need anything, let me know. I got miniatures. If you just want miniatures at the table, let me know. I got tons of them. I used to collect the Wizards of the Coast Star Wars miniatures by the cases. So, all right, 40K prop. Vials of active viruses for players to consume so they can experience the loving embrace of Nurgle. 40K game, I would make up some scrolls of protection. PCs are prisoners in a holding area before being assigned to the punishment. Guard, ship crew, other crappy job, etc. I think we can all say props are really cool, even if they're a little maybe not so cool. We also want to provide a little thumbs up for effort that the game and thought that the game master puts into it. I think some cool props I've also seen is, mentioned this, Michael Brown from Dead Game Society used to run games at cons. He did one, Nightmare on Sesame Street, and you each played a character from Sesame Street, but each character had a character sheet that looked like it was done in crayon. That's a character sheet. It's just an aesthetic of the character sheet. I don't know if I would call that necessarily a prop. It's more of an aesthetic, but nonetheless, we've mentioned Carl Kiesler's character sheet, so, mileage may vary, whatever, right? But he also had hand puppets. So, Bert, Ernie, God, Cookie Monster, I think, who was it? There was a few. And then he dressed up as Gordon. I think is Gordon, the host, one of the hosts, and it was like bell bottoms, pinstripe, shirt, vest. So yeah, man, as you're you're playing the game, you got your hand puppet on, talking, right? Really enjoyed the topic. Got to run. Dog needs to go to walk. Have a great weekend. See you, Jake. Thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate it. So there we go. Props. Props for being here. Always good fun. I think the biggest challenge is doing digital stuff and having it be kind of that tactile piece. So we'll see how crazy I get in the Delta Green game. I don't know if I'd like to do like a night at the opera, drop these guys like a weird envelope. I should just go over to their house and just drop it in their mailbox with nothing on the envelope. Night at the opera, an invite or something like that. My buddy Steve has done airline tickets. So he's also a graphic designers, man. They whip these things out in like 10 minutes. It's ridiculous because they just know the layout and font and how to trim this and trim that, and they know the tools really well. He was going to do like a Lost game, and I can't remember what system he was going to use, but he created airline tickets. Like, I mean, you could, back in the day before he had everything digital, you had like boarding pass or the ticket and the destination and the gate and everything was pretty cool. I mean, yeah. But there's so many resources out there now. You could just get so much inspiration. But yeah, it can be time consuming as all get up for sure. There's a balance. Don't get caught up in props. Also, players making props for their game. Like, if Jeff showed up with a badge or whatever, it would be super cool. It doesn't have to be for everybody at the table necessarily. It doesn't have to be the game master creating it for the group, but just doing your own thing for your own tune. Tune. I gotta go. Everybody's bailing. All right, see ya. Isn't it free RPG day today? I think so. Mail your players packages with instructions not to open them until the game time. Whoa. Brett, look at this guy. For my God's Teeth Delta Green game, I had props, handouts for tons of stuff. Helped keep the crew focused right away until they all died, that is. Womp womp. Yes, you can keep that. Graphic designers, if you're watching, make a graphic design for TTRPGs and profit. Yeah, I don't know. It is free RPG day. I feel Fedora is necessary when playing Fedora Noir. Yes, somebody should. All right, let's get into... Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to chime in. Let's get through some of the stuff that is part of the news, shall we? Some things to cover that I wanted to bring up. First one, New York-based Tabletop Workers United win a union contract after prolonged battle. Over 100 staff of 3 retail stores becomes the first union of their kind in the state. So this talks about some of the contract details. It covers specifically 100 staff from Hex and Company, the Brooklyn Strategist, and the Uncommons. So if you've ever been to the New York City area and visited any of those, there you go. Now you know who they are. Says the contract will last 3 years and is the first of its kind for tabletop businesses in New York. So there you go. Very cool. New 3-year contract, not uncommon. So there, that's cool, right? I'll put a link down there. Let's see. Canadians. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this. So Quebec. Oui, oui. Tabletop scene faces potential TPK from French language law. Thought this was interesting. The big boss battle for Quebec's friendly local game stores may not be against a dragon or Cthulhu, but against a piece of legislation. Store owners across the Canadian province are warning that a long-standing law newly reinforced could spell game over. Game over, man, for the vibrant tabletop hobby. So apparently this is like, what if you have products and they're not in French? Is kind of what it's getting at. So Article 51 of this charter mandates that French be the most prominent language on all commercial packaging and in accompanying documents. Yes, that includes the rule books for your favorite board games. Now, you might be thinking from the article, don't most of the big games have multilingual versions anyway? And you'd be right. Publishers like Asmodee, Cool Mini or Not, often provide rules in several languages, including French. The real crunch, however, comes from the vast ecosystem of the products that fill the shelves of a typical hobby store. So we're talking about miniature war games from the UK, specialized paint sets from Spain, the latest Magic the Gathering releases. For many of these niche products, French language packaging doesn't exist, and the Quebec market isn't large enough for international companies to create it. And it talks about why the sudden panic. So there's new provisions in a bill that came into effect on June 1st, 2025, sparking renewed attention and seemingly a more aggressive enforcement stance from the office, which I will not try to pronounce, but it's the OQLF, which is the, and I can't speak French to save my freaking life. It's the Québécois de la langue française. I don't know. It's probably really terrible French. But anyways, if you want to check that out. Kristen says store owners in Quebec have a lot of issues with this. Anyone can put a claim in against any business, and there are people who are extremists. Yeah, so it's like boom, bam. It's like taking it up to 11. So good luck with the stores there in Quebec in navigating that. Next up, this has hit the airwaves. So might as well bring it up here. Chris Perkins, Jeremy Crawford. Chris Perkins retired from Wizards of the Coast, was pulled out of retirement. I think Michael Jordan was retired longer than Chris Perkins. So just saying. And then Jeremy Crawford left. But now they are members of Critical Role's Darrington Press. So lots of, that's interesting. Wizards of the Coast even put out an update and said, hey, good luck with your new jobs kind of thing, which I thought was interesting, right? So anyways, they have the same titles at Darrington Press that they had when they were at Wizards of the Coast. So per Darrington Press, Perkins is creative director and Crawford is game director, matching the roles at Wizards. So there you go. According to the article, Perkins and Crawford were approached by Critical Role shortly after news broke that the pair were departing Wizards of the Coast. They were approached after they left Wizards of the Coast. So I could see them being the face of Darrington Press and putting out all the D&D updates that they did for Wizards and yada yada. And I don't know. So, yeah, interesting. What is Wizards doing over there? What are they doing? I don't know. But I guess good luck to them. Yeah. Did I put that link in the... I did not put that link in there. Did I put that link in there? I don't know. I did not. I'll put it in there. That's for me and World, by the way. I'm retired as a way that you get to say you lost your job. Magic 85, man. That's what it was, dude. Francois, what is it with French today? Francois Frodeve passes away. French RPG creator and developer Francois, can't pronounce his last name correctly, I'm sure, has passed away at the age of 66, born in France. He had moved to the U.S. at 82, where he worked for TSR for 4 years and as his assistant to Gary Gygax. Probably not seen and heard in all the books and movies that are coming out, but he co-wrote Oriental Adventures and Monster Manual 2 alongside Gygax. And then after returning to France, he continued to translate various D&D rulebooks into the French until 1989. Given the last story in Quebec, could have used him, right? So there you go. Later transitioned to video games and then comic books. Wrote 22 volumes of Chronicles of the Black Moon, a dark fantasy series. And then the last volume of the series was dedicated to Gygax and was published shortly after Gygax's passing. So he was one of the folks that worked in the industry in TSR days. RPG Day offerings. Who's going to free RPG Day? It's today. Here's some of the things. I won't go through all of them. Maybe just touch on them. There's a lot there. And remember, each store is going to have their own thing. Hey, you got to buy like $100 worth of products, and then you're going to be able to randomly select out of this like huge vat of stuff, and it's going to be a surprise, dude. And then you're just going to get what you get. Or you could get one from this shelf, or one from this shelf, or two from this shelf. But you can only pick from one of these. Now, in behalf of the Friendly Local Game Store's defense, they do have to pay for these kits. They don't get them for free. They don't get them for free. They give them out for free. So just saying. Let's see. It looks like Basic Role Playing has a quick start from Chaosium Expanse, Transport Union Edition quick start from Green Ronin. Dragonbane has got something out there from Free League. Legend in the Mist. Let's see. Marvel Multiverse from Marvel Comics. Pathfinder Adventure. Root RPG has something in there. Well of Shadows from Cobalt Press. What else? Edge Studio has out there for Arkham Horror, their role-playing game. Red Raven Games has Azerium role-playing game. Quick start. Quite a few quick starts. Anybody got their eyes on something specific? Modifius Quick Start Guide Collection. So samples are Fallout 2D20, Dreams and Machines, Star Trek Adventures, 2nd edition. Shift. G.I. Joe and Transformers from Renegade Studios has something out there. Physical items. A few other things. So there you go. Probably another one I will miss this year. Brett says having the stores pay for the product and then expect that they'll give them away for nothing on the hope that people buy other stuff is a terrible idea. Well, I think to your point, like, don't go in there and just like raid the place and leave. Buy something while you're there, even if it's a set of dice. Come on now. That's the point of this whole thing, is to get people into the game store. That I think most of us here are pretty good about that. But man, I used to do career fairs. You'd always have the knuckleheads that would come up to the table, raid the table, and then walk off. And they stuff their bag full of crap. Right? Like, I think that's all I got for news. Yeah, that's all I got for news. Let's go into bundles. Bundles! First one. Humble Bundle. Humble Bundle. Monsters, Traps, and DM Tricks for D&D and DCC. There's a butt ton of stuff in here, folks. Got the reference booklet, so for folks that play Dungeon Crawl Classics, that's a must if you don't have it. There's lots of things in here. Look at all these things. Lots of old DCC stuff. Grim Tooth. Yada yada. Core book for DCC is in there. Yeah, there you go. Check it out if you are so inclined. Next bundle. Shadowlands Raven bundle. If you've played Raven, this is all the Edgar Allan Poe inspired role-playing game. Tabletop role-playing game of Gothic horror from Spanish publisher Shadowlands Games, inspired by the macabre tales of Edgar Allan Poe. I think this was probably covered in a crowdfunding update at one point, so if you haven't checked that out, it's like, what is this? $13 to get 3 books in PDF. There you go. And then I think on the same token, we have Troika. So Troika Warehouse, Sutlers, Metagorgos, Seasons of the Snail, and much more. I think Troika's been on here before, so this is probably not entirely new. Supplements and Adventures for Troika, an acid fantasy tabletop role-playing game from Melsonian Arts Council. You are a wizard, a warrior, or maybe a macrame owl, dimension hopping in your golden barge among the crystal spheres strung like pearls from the humpbacked sky. It reminds me of Time Bandits, just that pitch. Yeah, Time Bandits, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books, right? For pay the minimum price. You must pay the minimum price. It's like $10. No, 20. 20 for everything. $19.95. Combined retail of $45. So there you go. That's all I got for bundles. Bundles. Print news. Brand news. Let's do it. Not a ton. Warhammer, the Old World RPG is here. You guys know this? Specifically, the Player's Guide is now available digitally in physical pre-order. So it's not really in print yet, but it is kind of, sort of, will be. So this is for those, this is announced last year, not because I'm looking to replace my beloved WFRP, but because it means even more Warhammer RPG supplements per the author here, Ezekiel. Brand new RPG set in the world as Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, but over 200 years earlier, just before the Great War against Chaos. Chaos! Uses a different set of rules to WFRP and is a tie-in RPG with the Games Workshop war game of the same name. Set in Sigmar's empire, but it doesn't quite feel like the empire of Karl Franz that we're familiar with. This is an age when the empire was completely fragmented, but also when many of the evil forces of the Warhammer world were at a low ebb. So there you go. Anybody interested in getting that or intrigued by it? Curious. Not a Warhammer guy. Just not something I delve into much at all. Next one, let's go to the End World. Some of the things that are out in print. Saline Watershed Codex of Ererd expansion for Trollord Games. It's out for $10. Adventures in the Household, Two Little Mice, makers of Outgunned, amongst other things. Adventures in the Household, GM Screen, Map of the House, so that's all available. Dungeons & Dragons 2024 edition is the system. Adventures in the Household. Next one, Let Us Build a Tower, a Mythic Bronze Age Adventure in Babel. Let Us Build a Tower, Deluxe Edition, are available. It's for OSR. OSR! I do love Warhammer, though, Brett says. Warhammer Never-Ending War and Desolation, and everyone has a migraine. Next one. Ekrim? Player's Guide, Conductor's Manual, Quick Reference Booklet, Conductor Screen. 2D6, unique 2D6 system. It must have escaped my view at some point. By Open Sesame Games. World submerged in an ocean of... I don't even know how to say this word. Ekrim? Come on, Sean. Duh. Get with it. Word of the day, bro. A corrosive substance. Humanity survives on small outcroppings and islands. Somebody's going to put the phonetic pronunciation of that. Next one, Magic Deeper Secrets, Grand Bazaar, Ground Jewel of Thrall by FASA. FASA, Earth Dawn, league out! Earth Dawn fans? And then an Adamantine Dragon Huge Adult by WizKids, but it can only be used in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So that's what, $80? 75 millimeter. Picture looks small, I don't know. Picture is not actual size. There you go. That's it for print news. Let's get into crowdfunding. Almost done, folks. Almost exactly time as last week and the week before. All right. These are from EN World. Ones that are in the last throes of their campaign. Castles and Crusades, Trollord Games. They got stuff going on all the time. These guys. Backer Kit, source books, Adventures Backpack Reforged. Like so many of Trollord's projects, this one is a cornucopia of new content. A leather filling record keeper containing the Adventures Backpack, Adventurer's Companion, deck of backpack cards, a CNC canvas backpack, soft covers, and more. Next one, Frag Kingdom 2. Core rulebook. Most popular pledge is $150 Australian dollars on Backer Kit. Next one, Blood More campaign setting. I want Blood Less, please. Kickstarter, that's funded for Shadowdark. Claudia Christian's All the Cardinal's Men on Kickstarter, called Cthulhu. This is a source book in the Musketeers versus Cthulhu series, because why not? Cthulhu. Play as Musketeers tasked with spying, courtly intrigue, and surviving Cthulhu. 112-page book includes rules to create agents, spells, NPCs, and monsters. Next one, Hellwhalers, Book of Leviathan. +1 experience points, Backer Kit. Source book, an original GM-led token swapping and D6 based TTRPG of nautical and religious horror. Players take the role of damned whalers, hunting a monstrous whale across the oceans of hell for the promise of salvation. gambling, fishing, and facing the trials of hell along the way. The idea of a more overtly religious Moby Dick, combined with more stereotypical view of sailors to produce an original TTRPG. There you go. May I Enter, a vampire game. PBTA, Powered by the Apocalypse variant. Core rulebook. It's not funded yet. The Tabletop Inn, a board game bed and breakfast. Board game themed bed and breakfast. So you're not kicking in for a bed and breakfast. It's a game. Board game themed bed and breakfast. Wait a minute. Maybe I'm wrong. Hold on a second. Most popular pledge, $550 for a one-night stay for up to 8 people at the Tabletop Inn. You get both suites. Well, I guess I'm wrong. It says board game themed. Oh, it is a bed and breakfast. Can I just understand my own English language? So apparently this is being put together. It's in Marion, North Carolina, outside of Asheville. If you're in the area, you might want to check that out. $550 one night stay, 8 people. Everybody chips in. That's a good weekend. There you go. It's funded. It's one thing to do. God, what am I, an idiot? There you go. Boom, bam. That's it. It's it. It's the top of the hour, folks. A little over. Appreciate you hanging in there. Wraps up this week. And yeah. I want to thank each and every one of these folks for contributing monthly, either here on YouTube or Patreon. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I want to thank you for being here this weekend. Thank you so much. Go out to Free RPG Day. Be a good citizen. Buy something, you cheap bastards. And then get something a little nice, a little token of appreciation from the RPG hobby. I stream here every Saturday at 8 a.m. Central Time. So I'll be here next week for your entertainment viewing. Go play some games. Stay cool for sure, Tim says, because it is going to be a hot one for sure. Oh, Stefan Dragonspawn, where you been, buddy? Right at the last minute. We'll see you on the next one, Stefan. Just come a little earlier. So, if you like this stream, you can check out some of the videos. Here's my latest one. As soon as it ends, I'll put this up there when I can, but it's on building RPG encounters. Hope you find it entertaining. Otherwise, I will see you on the next one. Ciao.